Everything tastes and is better when you're shared with others. My name is Ignacio Nacho Jimenez. I'm a James Beard finalist, also Maestro Ceremonias at Super Bueno in New York City. Welcome to the Taste Collective. Taste is born out of community through the storytelling of each ingredient. Taste is paying homage to the way that you were brought up and trying to tell the story of who we are. I was born in a place called León, Guanajuato. I always had an interest for food, so I was always gravitating towards the kitchen, mainly because I was a hungry kid. So I was always tasting things. Everyone in the family was an amazing cook. Mexican food, it's something that takes a large amount of preparation. So everyone had their little part on it, Always, you'll find yourself hanging out in kitchens. There's always a good conversation to have while you're cooking, and there's always a good moment and a good memory that everyone can cherish. I came really to know Mexican cuisine through the cooking of my grandmother, recipes passed on generation through generations. I moved to New York when I was 21 years old. I worked in restaurants in New York since I first landed, really shaping my taste and expanding my knowledge in food. The moment where I started coming back into and developing a Mexican cocktail program is where I start to find that, all these stories, all these memories that I have lived had a value in me, and that I can tap into those memories, and that I can feel them differently now, and that I can apply them and make people feel a very specific way. I try to create, moments of surprises within each cocktail that can grab people's attention. Once you have that attention, the conversation turns into what is it that it is behind this cocktail. The cocktail, it's an incredible tool, a very powerful tool to bring the table into the center. More than anything, it's a place where you build community. And yes, you build community through cocktails and to providing spaces where you can enjoy these cocktails. It's an experience of joy that I want to translate. The experience of feeling welcome and at home and at ease. Being part of something. New York, as a city, loves Negronis. There's no menu in the city where you don't find a Negroni. The elements to call a Negroni, you have to have gin, you have to have sweet vermouth, and you have to have some kind of amari into it. There are many variations into it. There's mezcal Negronis, there are rum Negronis, there are obviously tequila Negronis, and everything has kind of their own name. My thing was how to develop something that felt Mexican and that had an authenticity and a story to tell that it was Mexican, alongside with this is a cocktail that also represents this city and the city that I'm a part of. The story is centered around the many fruit carts that are found all over the streets in Mexico. The green mangoes, very green unripe mangoes, and mixing it in with the 1800 Cristalino, keeping the structure of the tequila, but also featuring some of the ingredients. It's really light, robust, and bright, to enhance those flavors that go into the Negroni. Play with some of the bitterness and the fresh fruit of it. It has this amazing, complex as well, easy to drink, fresh drink. The Cristalino, being an añejo, helps that mouthfeel that you're looking for. But as well, that charcoal filter helps with the brightness of the cocktail as well. The other one is using unequal parts of the Sauterne, which is a French dessert wine, and vermouth, which is not very traditional, but I felt that Sauternes and mangoes are a perfect pairing. And also doing a white Amari for this one too, where the mangoes could really shine. A little bit of saline that helped bring it all together. And there you have it, Green Mango Negroni. Everything is made with intention, and everything, therefore, has a story behind that intention. When you give people a story, it's a sense of communion right there. If that cocktail story has even greater roots and heritage, then your story will be greater. Then the connections that people will feel to your story will be even greater. Paying homage to your heritage, it becomes even more powerful. Check out the rest of our Taste Collective masterclasses and learn how 1800 can improve your understanding of taste.